there, engineers. Today, we are going to play with rubber bands. Not only are they stretchy and useful, but they're awesome to experiment with. We're going to harness the power of rubber bands to create zipline racers today. These little contraptions are going to harness the power of a rubber band or elastic potential energy in order to create movement or kinetic energy. And we're going to do that by winding them up and having them power a propeller. Today's engineer challenge is a little tricky, but I know that you're up to it. So get your thinking hats on and get ready to try stuff out, maybe fail a few times, and then try again. This is a great engineering project and we're going to do it all together. So let's get started.
All right, let's gather all of our materials. You're going to need a few straws. You're also going to need some popsicle sticks or craft sticks. Try to grab whatever is best for you or available to you. You're going to need a few rubber bands. If you have thicker ones, even better. You'll need a handful of paper clips. You're also going to need a hot glue gun with some glue sticks. And if you don't have a hot glue gun available, you can just use some regular glue. You're also going to need something to create your zip line. You can use some fishing line, some thread, or even floss. So use what's available at home. And last but not least, you're going to need some tape. So grab some scotch or some packaging tape, whatever you have. Let's get started. All right, so step one, we're going to build the first part of the frame to your zipline racer. So you're going to take one popsicle stick and you'll apply a little bit of hot glue on each end of it. And then you'll attach two popsicle sticks that are going to meet right around the middle of your original popsicle sticks. So always be careful when using a glue gun. It does get pretty hot and we don't want you to burn yourself. So if you need the assistance of an adult, you can ask somebody to help you out. Okay, so both popsicle sticks are centered. You can clean off any excess glue, and that looks pretty good. All right, so now we can move on to step two. So we'll take the existing parts of our frame, and we are going to attach the sides of it. So you'll use your hot glue gun or your white glue and you'll apply a little bit on each end. You want to attach the other sticks about an inch away from each end of your structure, like so. Now remember, if you're using regular glue, you're going to need to give it time to dry. So be patient, make sure that you set it off to the side and that you wait until all of the popsicle sticks have bonded. All right, this is looking great. Now we're going to attach some support popsicle sticks. So we're going to attach them here to the side, like so. First we'll put them into position to make sure we like where they are. And then we will apply a little bit of glue. All right, so one side is done. And let's get working on the other. Perfect. And remember, a little bit of glue goes a long way. So you don't have to put on a whole lot of it, just enough to make sure that your craft sticks stick on. All right, everything looks good. Everything looks secure. I'll clean off any extra glue that's lingering. And, all right, looks great.
All right, now that we've built the frame to our zipline racer, it's looking pretty good. You can clean up any little extra pieces of hot glue. Or if you're using regular glue, just make sure that it's dry and that the glue sticks have bonded. Now we're going to switch over and we're going to use some paper clips, which are going to be the main mechanisms to hang this off of the zip line. Okay, so let's take a closer look at how we're going to bend our paper clips.
All right, so let's grab a paper clip and we are going to flatten it out like so, and then you'll grab it by the center and you're going to twist one end of the paper clip about 90 degrees. You'll know you've done it right when you're able to turn the paper clip and just see one hook, like that. All right, let's try it out with our second paper clip. Remember, you're going to open it up and flatten it out. Then you'll grab it by the center and you will turn one side of the paper clip 90 degrees. And remember, I asked you to grab a couple of paper clips just in case you don't get it right the first time. All right, this is looking good. I got 2 paper clips ready to go. Those will be the hooks to my racer. So now let's attach them. Let's put our frame into position, and we are going to put some hot glue on the top of one of the sticks, one of the sides of the frame, and we will gently place one of the paper clips there. And remember, it's hot glue, so we want to make sure that we let it cool off. Now the trick here is you want to apply both paper clips so that the top hooks are facing in the same direction. And I'll show you in just a second. You see? We've created 2 hooks at the top of our racer that are both facing in the same direction. Now, in order for the hooks to be secured on, I'm going to take a little bit of tape and I'm going to wrap them around the bottom of the hooks, like so. As the glue dries, this little piece of tape is just going to secure them into place. I'll do that to the other side. And that looks about right. Excellent. Okay, so we got 2 hooks ready for the zip line. Let's move on to the next step. Okay, so we're going to take a third paper clip and we are going to open it up about 90 degrees. Really simple step. So you want it to look like an L. And now we'll attach it to the frame. So we'll apply a little bit of hot glue to the end of the frame, and then we'll take our bent paper clip and we will attach it. Use the same technique that you used for the other paper clips. Place it down, allow the hot glue to bond with the paper clip, like that. Okay. Now, the purpose of this paper clip is really important. It's going to be holding the rubber band in place that's going to propel our fins. So, take a little piece of tape and secure it. And that looks good. Just like that. Perfect. I think we're ready to move on. Okay, now that we have our frame and all of the paper clips attached to it, we are going to cut a small piece of straw, about 2 inches long. That looks great. Okay, and we're going to apply it on the opposite end of where the hook was, but we'll apply it off to the side. Now, you want to make sure that the straw is attached on the same side that the paperclip hook is, because your propeller is going to go through here and it's going to be attached to the rubber band. Okay, looks good.
Well, now that we've built the frame to our zipline racer, now it's time to build phase 2 of the project, which is the propeller that's going to help it glide across the zipline. So let's gather a few extra materials and let's get to work on that.
All right, so we're going to need a few extra things to create our propeller. You'll need some cardstock, construction paper, or you can even use an old filing folder. You'll need one bottle cap or some kind of round disc, and you'll need a small stick. I decided to use a barbecue stick. It's perfect and it fits right through our straw. So let's draw out 2 propeller shapes. The fun thing is that you'll be able to experiment. So I'm drawing some basic propeller fin shapes, but later on you'll be able to try different sizes and different shapes for your zipline racer. So once you've drawn them out, go ahead and cut them out. I'm recycling this old folder. The paper's nice and firm. Okay, almost done. And perfect. 2 propeller fins ready to go. Now, I'm going to take my hot glue and I'm going to put a small dab right in the middle. And this is where I'm going to attach my barbecue skewer. Slowly put it there. And I'll hold it in place for a few seconds while the hot glue dries. I want to make sure that it's flat and even. Perfect. And once it's secure, I'll go ahead and apply a little bit of hot glue in order for me to attach my 2 propeller fins. So just a little bit on each side. Attach my propeller fins, one on each side. Great, and my propeller's ready to go. Perfect. Now, my barbecue skewer is pretty long, so I don't need my propeller to be that long. So I'm going to snap it and cut it, and I need it to be about 4 inches long.
Okay, so now we've completed our propeller. And once we attach it to the zipline racer and we're ready to let it go, we'll make slight adjustments to the fins so that they catch wind and are able to propel our racer forward. But until now, let's set this aside. We're going to make a few more tweaks to the racing body so that we can attach the propeller onto it.
So as I was building my racer, I realized that my particular project was going to need a washer. The purpose of my washer was to help reduce friction, so I placed it right at the end of my propeller, like so, and it allowed it to spin a little bit better, and I'll show you why. Now, your project may not need a washer, but it is strongly suggested. As I pushed my propeller shaft through the straw, the washer prevents it from rubbing at the end, and thus it spins a little bit better. So experiment. You may not need the washer, but if you do, you can hunt around and look for one that's the right size. Now, when you're ready, you're going to attach a rubber band to the barbecue skewer or small stick, and you'll use a small piece of tape to secure it on there. I use my piece of tape and I put it right in the center of the rubber band. And I slowly turned it, securing it into place. All right, that looks good. And just to be on the safe side, that feels pretty good, but I decided to use a little bit of hot glue. Just a little dab, just to make sure that the tape, the rubber band, and the pop and the wooden stick were nice and secure. Looks great. Now, you're going to need that rubber band to be a little bit longer. So, we're going to grab a second rubber band and we're going to loop it through. Just like that, pull gently. Now 2 rubber bands are attached. And you're going to hook it on to the end of our racer, to the paper clip that we attached at the end. Now give it a test. You want to twirl it around a little bit. Make sure that the rubber band is winding up. And if all works well, nice. Okay, looks good.
Now, engineers, one of the tricky parts about this project is creating the propeller and putting it through this shaft. So you need to be really careful, and this is where you're going to have to really experiment quite a bit. One thing that I found out was that I needed something that would help reduce friction between the propeller, which is this bottle cap, and the end of my straw, which is the shaft that holds it. So what I ended up doing was I found a washer that I put at the end of my propeller, and that's actually, it reduced a lot of the friction, allowing my propeller to spin freely when I wind it up. So you may not have a washer at home, so you're going to have to experiment. Washers work great because they're metal, but if you can find something else that's smooth and small and that can fit at the end, and really that's only if you're running into friction. So once it's completed, now it's ready to test it. And we're going to set up the zip line, we're going to set up our racer, and then we're going to play with the fins to see how we can catch the most air. So we're almost there. Great job so far.
Now, it's time to set up our zip line. I just used some tape and some fishing wire, and I set it up. I rolled out my fishing wire. You have to make sure that one end of your zip line is higher than the other so that your racer can slide down along the zip line. There we go. Make sure that it's nice and tight.
One of the really cool things about our racers, our zipline racers, is that they're powered by these rubber bands and the potential energy that they store. So the more you wind up your propeller, you begin to wind up that rubber band, and it begins to store potential energy. So the more you wind, the more potential energy that's going in there. And when it's released, it's converted into moving energy or kinetic energy. And that kinetic energy is what powers our zipline racer down the zip line. So we're going to test that in just a few minutes. All right, engineers, so we've set up our zip line, our racers are built, now it's time to test. So a few things before we launch. I mentioned earlier that you wanted to experiment with the shape of your propeller fins. Well, this is a great opportunity for you to try different things, to try some design thinking and see what works best. You see, the propeller fins, depending on the size and the shape, are going to be able to catch more air. So, the first time you try it, it may not work that well, but continue to test. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wind up my racer. And you want to wind up quite a bit, because remember, the more you wind up that rubber band, the more potential energy you're storing. So, I'm going to continue to wind, and then we're going to launch our racer. Okay, so I think mine is ready to go. Let's check out how my fins do. You're going to hang your racer from the hooks that you created, like so. All right, and we're going to let it rip. Awesome. We did great work today. Continue experimenting with your racers. Change the shape. Use different materials. Change the shape of your fins. This is a great opportunity. Remember, use design thinking as a way to test and prototype and keep trying again. So, remember to always think critically and think creatively. Thanks for watching the video, and make sure you guys watch the rest of them.